Hello, everybody. Welcome to my stream or the YouTube pod, whichever it is. I just want to do a quick little run through on the summer event, which is starting today on the 28th. As we can see right here, and they're going kind of with a weird theme this year. And you can see it goes from June 28th, 30 days or 31 days. I don't remember how many in June off the top of my head. Whatever, a month until July 28th. And they're going with this sort of medieval theme, which is kind of super weird and kind of out of character from general Star Trek stuff. I mean, and just for reference, where they pulled this from is from a single episode of season 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is the Enterprise under command of Captain Pike before Kirk took over command of the Enterprise. And it's actually episode 8 of season 1, which you can see the trailer for it here. Season 1, episode 8, The Elysian Kingdom, in which they're trapped inside a nebula, and the doctor's book that he reads to his daughter, who's in basically transporter stasis because of a terminal illness. He reads her this book, and they go into an alien nebula, and basically the crew gets taken over. He's kind of the only one that knows what's going on, I guess, and everybody else becomes characters from this fantasy setting, storybook, fairy tale type thing of the Elysian Kingdom. So, as with all summer events, winter events, and the anniversary event, I believe there is a T6 ship. You have to log in and complete one of the events. You can do any one. There's ones that rotate around. It's like every 10 or 15 minutes or something. The different things that are happening on Ryza. You can do one of those, or you can just do the jetpacky fly through the rings thing. That's what it used to be. And same thing with the winter one. There used to be the one thing that you would do, the ice race in the winter and the fly through the rings thing that you do in the summertime to get it. And then recently they've expanded it to where they're like, oh, well, if you just have to do any of the events. So if you want to do one of the ones that's active, whether that's the like hoverboard racing or collecting Horgons or the dance party or whatever, you can do one of those instead. Just keep in mind they do rotate around. I think the instances are all on different schedules, more or less. I don't think they're in sync. So if you want to look for like a certain one, you can open up the map screen and you can click change instance to change to a different instance to try to find the one you want. If you want to do a particular one, I would say the dance party is particularly easy, but to each their own. So we'll go over it. Basically, we'll do the quick overview, then we'll talk about the ship a little bit, and then I will show you Ryza, and maybe we'll look at the items. We'll go to the store maybe and look at the items a little more, because this doesn't really go into the items all that much. It gives you a rough overview, but not all the specific stats. So what you can get is this Hysperian Intel Battlecruiser T6 if you complete the 20-day thing I was just talking about. It's always great to have a T6 ship. This one, I would say in the past, the ships, now they always have a unique console that is generally not, locked to any particular, race or class of ships or faction or anything that you can use on any ship you want. So there's always at least usually a good console. There's several that I have used on my ships. They are they're like the the epic, the golden ones, the universal ones. You can stick in any slot, and they usually have like one really big powerful ability that they give you, kind of like a bridge officer ability, but maybe more powerful with a longer cooldown. And then they obviously have secondary like stat boosts. Um, it's nice to have them all for options. A lot of times the ship that you get is extremely unique. In this instance, other than the look of the ship, which you can see it right now, uh, they went with this fantasy vibe, so it looks unique from any other sort of races, different race or whatever's ships. It doesn't have a Klingon or a Valkyrie or a Orion or Vulcan or Andorian or any sort of design. I mean, it's clearly like a Federation style ship, but it's got all this medieval stuff on it. You may or may not like that. I would imagine if you don't like the way this looks in general, that you could use a visual shield like the ones you get from in the tier 6 reputations, or from various different missions, or whatever, to apply to it, that would probably make this look more in line with conventional Star Trek lore, not look so out of place. So just keep that in mind, that you could almost undoubtedly change this, give it like a breen texture, or something cool like that, and make it look a lot different. So that's one of the rewards. You also, as you're doing these events, you collect Lohanat, and I think I'm saying that right, favors. I find that they are more of a pain in the butt to collect than the Christmas event, and a lot of that is due to the fact that in the Christmas event there is a TFO you can do with these special Christmas, like snow cone, candy cane weapons or whatever that you can buy. Um, that you can. It's on a 30-minute cooldown, but the cooldown is individual to each character. So if you have multiple characters, like even on my free to play account, I now am currently at 4 characters, and I imagine the Gem Hadar Gamma recruit will be coming back before the end of the year if they keep up on this pace that they've been of releasing a new recruit every couple of months, or re-releasing, I should say, the ability to get the recruits. That will give me 5 characters, and you can cycle through them. So you can like run through it with one character, cycle to the next character, do the TFO, which is very fast, and each one of those will reward you with the ornaments. There are also duty officer missions that you can do when you're in the Christmas setting. So you can switch to all your characters as you're switching through them, and you're doing the TFO, or not doing the TFO. Even if you're just switching through them, you can assign each of them to it. It's random, you know what I mean? So maybe there's 1 or 2, maybe there's like 4 of them, but you can assign them all to those Christmas duty officer things when you're in Q's Winter Wonderland Christmas area, and collect ornaments that way. Now there's 5, 6 different kinds of ornaments. Um, so you have to get a whole bunch of all these different ones. But like I said, if you can get them just from duty officer things that you log in, cycle through your characters, and click on them, that's fast. The advantage to the summer one is there's only one thing you get, the Lohanat favors, but you actually it's more active. They unless they've updated something for this year, I'll check and see. But they didn't have any duty officer missions. They didn't have a TFO, so you actually have to go around and do these summer event things to collect them. You will get some by doing the summer events that you do to get your 20 days, but not a lot. So I just say spend that currency wisely. Um, Now, if you really want to get like some kind of a cool swimsuit for your character to look cool on Ryza, then you're probably going to have to do some summer stuff to get one. The winter ones, it's more just about getting the more practical rewards, kit modules. There's like some Breen. I think maybe you get the most of the Breen stuff from the missions, but I think the warp core or something you have to get in the winter event. And also, once you have the uh, oh, and you can also buy and sell these things on the exchange too. So you can use EC credits to buy and sell these, or if you're trying to make EC, you can earn a bunch of these and sell them. Um, but you can access the event stores, whether it's the summer or winter ones. Once you've gone to Ryza once during the summer event and the Winter Wonderland once and clicked on the thing about it, um, you'll see on the event screen where it's got the button that says like reclaim event rewards that you use whenever you make a new character and you want to get all your T6 ships and things you've earned over the years from these events, your consoles, whatever, the stuff you get from doing all the other little events, weapons, pets, anything like that. There also will be one that says event store, which will open the summer and winter stores so that you can spend those currencies even when the events are over. So you don't have to spend the stuff in the event. Now let's talk about this year's specific event. Okay, so what new items do we have? We have the Elysian Spell Sword. Okay, it's a melee weapon. There's a lot of melee weapons in the game. This one might be great. I don't know. Melee combat I find in this game kind of meh. Uh, it's a pain to be chasing the people down rather than just shooting them from a distance. Um, but one more melee item. That's cool. Whatever. We have the icy talons. So you have a spell book and you cast these icy projectiles. Um, okay. The only thing I find a little odd about this is we have an icy thing in the summer event. Usually the summer event is like fire and lava stuff and things like that. But so that means I'm going to need Lohanat favors, not just for my account where I have my fire character to get the fire stuff from Ryza, but I will also probably want to get. I'm assuming this is a kit module. They don't really go into detail about what it is. I mean, they tell you what it does, but I doubt that it's a weapon. Maybe it is, whatever. But I'll probably want this for my ice character. I have one for each element. Which is something the console that comes from the ship will help me with, because it makes it like if you do cold or fire or radiation or electrical damage, these sort of magically elemental damages, it makes the person or the ship, I guess because it's a space console, weaker to those. I'm probably gonna want that console on my ships that I've made that are electrical, fire, and ice, which are on my other three accounts. Not this latest free to play one, but my paid account, my son's paid account that I've taken over, and my free to play account that I made some years ago. Uh, Ring of Reflection repels, so basically it knocks everybody back, and probably does some sort of buff or debuff or heat. It says it's for a healer, so I imagine it does some kind of healing thing. Elysian War magic set. Maybe if you have all of these, there's probably some set bonus. We'll probably take a look at that in the game. Okay, let's move on to the actual ship, because that's really the highlight of these events is the T6 ship. As we know, T6 ships are great. They all come with the Starship Trait. They all come with an Admiralty card. As a free-to-play player, those things are good. Also, having another T6 ship that you can use is great. It gives you a good one. I would say these T6 ships are better than, say, the Bird of Prey you get from the Klingon one. Though that is a Raider, it has universal seating and stuff, so that's a plus. But unless you really want that Raider flanking bonus, and you really like the universal seats where you can fill it with all tactical people, bridge officers or something weird like that. Generally, these other ships, they call it a Intel Battlecruiser. So it's like a cruiser, but it's not quite as slow as a cruiser, and then it has the Intel abilities. Um, like I said, there's lots of different classes of ship in this game that have their own unique mechanics. The Jemadar ones have wingmen. Miracle Workers have their own thing. Intel ships have their own thing. Temporal ships have their own thing. There's basically special little extra bonus mechanics. We're not going to look at the YouTube video because it doesn't actually show anything about the ship. It just shows it like flying around. You can go to Star Trek news site or probably Google Hysperian Intel Battlecruiser on YouTube and see the video if you want to see it. Besides a still shot, if you want to see it basically just in 3D flying around and going to warp. Okay, cool. So it's a battle cruiser, which means that it's basically a cruiser. It has 3 of the 4 cruiser abilities, arguably the 3 most important ones. I don't think it has threat generation, but it's got the one that boosts you and everybody around you's weapon abilities, one that boosts everybody's shield, and one that boosts everybody's like turn rate. Generally with cruisers, you tend to use the turn rate one because they don't turn as fast as, say, the science or the escort ships. Here is the one really unique thing about this versus another ship I will show you, which is the Eclipse Intel Cruiser, which is basically almost the same ship as this, except it doesn't have this pilot seat. This actually has 2 specialist seats. It has an Intel one. It's an Intel ship, so no surprise there. It also has, and this one's universal, so you can put, tactical, engineering, or a science bridge officer in it. And then you can make them an Intel specialist. And you can switch any of their, this is Lieutenant Commander, so 3 abilities, level 1, level 2, level 3 abilities. You can pick them to either have those slots filled with a tactical ability, an engineering ability, a science ability, depending on what type of bridge officer you put there, or an Intel one. I don't play a lot of Intel ships, so I'm not sure if those abilities are super great. And then the other seat that it has, which having 2 different specialization seats is something that they're starting to do on some of the newer T6 ships that they give out, that was pretty much exclusive before that to like lockbox and legendary ships. It used to be like if you had a ship, it would only have one type of specialization ship, whether that's pilot, miracle worker, whatever. Now they're starting to give you free ships. I mean, as in you just do one event and get the ship for free, and they give you 2. So the second one you get is a lieutenant. So that means level 1 and 2 science / pilot seat. So that means you can either use one or both abilities for science or one or both abilities for pilot abilities. I do tend to really like the pilot abilities. There is a attack pattern Lambda, I believe, is the pilot one. It boosts your accuracy and I believe your evasion and some other stuff. I like it a lot. I tend to use it on ships that have pilot seats. Tier 6, it's a Federation or Federation aligned. But you should be able to use it with, like, say, Dominion aligned with Klingon or Romulan Klingon or KDF, so long as you have a Federation person that's at least like level 65 or whatever. Just like with the Klingon ships, you can, your Federation pilot aligned factions can pilot Klingon ships so long as you have a Klingon that's at least level 65. Required rank, must complete tutorial. That's just until you finish the tutorial with a new character, you basically just can't unlock tier 6 ships yet. That's just any ship, whether cash store ships or anything like that. The hull modifier, the shield modifier, it's got 5 weapons in the front, 3 in the back, 3 device slots. It's got Lieutenant Commander, so 3, level 1 through 3, 3 tactical abilities, a Commander Engineering. It is a cruiser, so 1, 2, 3, 4 Engineering. Lieutenant Science, so that's 2 Science or Pilot, and Ensign Science, so that's 1 level 1 Science, and then a lieutenant commander universal intel seat, which can be anything you want, tactical, engineering, or science. And whichever one you put in there, you can either use those abilities or levels 1 through 3 in intel. Consoles, it's a bit more on the tactical side than a lot of the engineering cruiser ships. Usually they're 3 and 3, and they're 3, 5, and 3. This is 4, 5, and 2. So 4 tactical, 5 engineering, and 2 science. Turn rate 9.73. That's higher than your average cruiser. But these numbers you'll see are basically very in line with the Eclipse Intel Cruiser, which I will show you shortly. Another thing to mention, it can use dual cannons, like most escorts. You know what I mean? Like not everything can equip dual cannons. This can, so it's more of like a battleship type of ship. And then they've come up with these fantasy names for basically all the abilities, but these are just the same abilities that like the Eclipse Intel Cruiser has, or similar ships, cruiser ships and Intel ships. The only difference is that they gave them these fantasy names. So Spell of Invisibility, it has a cloak. Okay, you can cloak. Cruiser Command Array, these are your standard cruiser abilities. Like I said, it doesn't have the fourth one, which is a lot of cruisers have, which is the increased threat. Generally, I don't find this particularly useful. I could see how, like in TFOs, it could be useful if you want the enemies to target you because you have lots of hull and shields versus, say, the escorts and things. But basically, these are the 3 normally used. So it's got Nimble Jig. Once again, that's the one that makes you turn faster. Protection, that's the one that boosts everybody, you and the people around you when you turn it on, their shields. And Tireless March of Striking, that's the one that I think it reduced weapon costs by 25 or something like that, or 25%. I don't remember. All right. Then we have Scrying Orb abilities. These are just the intel abilities. Okay. This is the generic one that you activate. It's kind of like sensor scan on a science ship. I'll show you these on the Eclipse Cruiser so you can see what they actually are. And then as you build up stacks, then you can expose vulnerability, armor, or disarm, or vitals. I'll show you these, like I said, on the Intel Cruiser, and then you'll understand. Then you have the console, Universal Dragon's Blood Flame Reactor. Okay, this is the console you can use basically with any ship. Like I said, it'll be cool for me for my elemental characters. But it's kind of cool in general. Basically, we'll scroll down and I'll show you. It talks about what it does, but it basically shoots a 5-kilometer flame out in front of the ship. And then it also had, like I said, has that effect where when you do elemental or radiation damage, it lowers the enemy's resistance to those. All right. Now, other than the Starship Trait, these are the Starship Ability package, levels 1 through 4 of leveling up your Starship before you get to level 5, where you get your Starship Trait, which this ship does have because it's a T6 ship. It has the ability package Battlecruiser. Once again, they have just changed the names of the things to fantasy themed things. Okay, so physical, kinetic resistance, increased severity, energy resistance, hull HP. Here's the Admiralty card in case you care. It's a 52, 37, 37, and +2 stats per any ship. Usually the stat boosts are only for large ships. This will boost the stats even if you put in small crafts, I guess, like shuttlecrafts, but +2 is, gosh, like nothing. So you have when you put 3 ships on an Admiralty, you'll get +6 to each one. Maybe that will get you over the like minimum number to where you have 100% success rate. It may come in handy. I would say the special abilities kind of marginal on this ship. It's nothing to write home about. But 52, 37, 37 is good. It's not super heavily weighted towards one stat. I mean, yes, it has more engineering, but 37 on the other two stats is pretty good. That should work good in a lot of Admiralty stuff. Here we can see the picture of the Dragon's Blood Flame Reactor attack. As far as how much damage it does, I'm sure that will depend on, how much exotic damage you do and probably auxiliary power level and all that good stuff. But we'll have to see if it works really well. Generally, something that just attacks out the front of your ship, I don't find to be super great. But once again, more consoles is always better, and especially in the early game, whenever you make a new character, whether that's a new recruit or you're just making a new character because you want to make an additional character, because every subsequent character you tend to make is faster, better, and stronger than any of the ones you made before that, because you will have bonuses from your other recruits, assuming you have those, whether those are Delta, Gamma, KDF recruits, or the Temporal Agent. Uh, Temporal Agent is still basically just a recruit, it's just a different name. Okay, so fire damage each second. Okay, so it's like a 15-second long flame out the front rather than just a single attack. That actually makes it more useful because it will keep going out the front as you steer the ship. You can actually aim it. So rather than just firing once and you may miss your target or having to line up perfectly before you fire it, that's useful. It will only damage up to 5 foes in front, but that's still a lot. I mean, that would be plenty like Chidat Swarmers from the Herc or something like that. 50-degree cone in the front, 5-kilometer cone. Oh yeah, the damage, it's not auxiliary, it's engine power. Okay, so it scales with engine power. It also applies a stack of 3 engine power drained per second. So it kind of just like your weapon drains energy, this drains engine power. Okay, if your current engine power exceeds 25%, recover X% of the recharge per second. So if you have your engine power set kind of high, which you may well do if you are an engineering thing, especially if you have like a lot of engineering skills that boost all of your like warp core outputs for your engine and just for your warp core in general, and also so that you can actually turn your slower like engineering type ship at a reasonable speed. Yeah, that's cool. So it'll recover. It says recovery. I'm assuming that means like whole recovery. So it provides you a heal too. Oh, okay. The magic boost thing I was talking about. If you do fire, cold, or whatever, uh, it grants bonus damage for those things. That's the Starship trait. I'm sorry, not the console. So if you deal fire, cold, electrical, psionic, or radiation to foes, it boosts your engine power levels for 15 seconds, which you can see this trait and this console would work well together. This will boost your engine power, and then this, based off your boosted engine power, will do more damage and heal you more. Okay. It also boosts damage bonus to fire, cold, electrical, psionic, radiation, and disruptor. So this would be good for disruptor, beam, or cannon, or whatever disruptor energy type build, which is good because there are more disruptor sets in the mission rewards and most of the things than the other energy types. So here you go. When dealing damage from any of the 5 magics, whatever, fire, cold, electrical, radiation, and psionic, apply the following: plus X engine power per second, and X is going to go up based on the level of the console. Just FYI, that's why it says X. And Y percent bonus damage for all of these things up here and disruptor, 15% plus your engine power. So this is going to boost your engine power, and then also just in general, like whatever your engine power is going to cause extra damage. So once again, it's kind of a feedback loop. Evidently, you can see it's highly weighted to engine power. Now, real quick, let's just look at the Intel Eclipse Cruiser, because this ship is basically almost a mere copy of this, except that it has the science officer seat right here, the level 2 science officer, lieutenant. So 1, 2 little ticks at the bottom there at level 1, level 2. On the new ship is also a pilot ship. But if you look at the abilities, right, they are basically the same. Strategic maneuvering, weapon system efficiency. They just don't all show here. I'll scroll down and you can see it. But this is a ship that is available from the store for $30 US. Same price as every ship, and it's also part of these bundles. So if we look down here, most of these are basically the first 4. You know what I mean? Battlecruiser. They are the straight up copies. These are what they normally would be called. Obviously, at Starship Trait is going to be different. So we have gather intelligence. That's the scrying thing. All right. Employ an intel sensor drone with gather intelligence ability. All right. Then while the target is vulnerable, you can use one of these expose abilities. These are the intel abilities: expose vulnerability, critical defense, or critical systems, defenses, or weapon systems. All right. Warp signature masking. It just means that you don't get detected as soon. Like when you're far away from ships, they don't see you. I'm sure it probably has this same thing. It's just probably part of that invisibility thing. Uh, then we have cloak. It has a cloak, just like the other ship. It has the weapon systems efficiency thing, the strategic maneuvering thing, and the new T6 ship also has the shield boosting one. If you have played any cruiser in the game, even the lower level ones, you are familiar with these abilities. Just like if you have played a science ship, you are familiar with sensor scan and the ability to target engines, weapon systems, shields, auxiliary, whatever. Those are basic science, basic this. You know what I mean? And then the escorts have the experimental weapon slots. So these are the main differences. Not much to see here, but basically, if you want to see what all these abilities do, you know what I mean, and how they all work, you can go look at the Eclipse Intel Cruiser right here on and in fact here I will paste that into the chat. On YouTube I will put that in the description. You can go look at the Intel Cruiser and realize this ship is basically almost exactly the same. In fact, the new one has a little bit higher shield modifier. Some of these numbers are slightly different, but a lot of them, if you look, could even just be rounding differences. Like this says it's got a turn rate of 10. If we look over here, it says it has a turn rate of 9.73. This could just be rounding up. You know what I mean? So it's basically very similar to this ship. All right. As you can see, here we go. That's the ship. Honestly, I think it's probably a pretty good ship. I think this ship has been people like it, tend to like it. Oh, and the other thing is the weapons. This is 4-4. 4 weapons in the front, 4 weapons in the back, standard cruiser. This one's 5 weapons in the front, 3 in the back. I would say that's probably generally considered better. Or more. It's definitely more tactical. So there are some little differences, but other than that, it's mostly the same. See, it's got the same 3-5-2 console things. The seats are the same, other than this one is a pilot, or it's a little different. I guess this one, the engineering is the intelligence, so you can actually use level 4, whereas on the new one it's the universal one. But whatever. So the bridge officer seats are a little different. They're fairly similar, but a little bit different. Other than that, it's mostly the same. The inertial rating of the Hyperion is a bit less. Just means it kind of like drifts a little bit less when you turn it and stuff. Um, they both can equip dual cannons, but it's very similar to this ship. But you're getting it for free, and it's got a unique look. And the only way you'll be able to get it later, if you don't get these now, is when they eventually get added to something like maybe the Phoenix Prize Pack, or I don't know that they add these ships. Maybe they do. I don't know, but basically, if you don't get it now, you won't be able to get it for a long time. It won't be easy, or you might not be able to get them at all. Um, it won't be the end of your world if you don't get it. But take all the free T6 ships you can get. It's another Admiralty card. It's another console. It's another Starship Trait. If you're a free-to-play player, you want these for sure. These event ships. This is the summer one. We will have a winter one coming up in the winter. So, in a few months from now. Um, who knows what that will be? Who knows if they're going along this line of pulling a single episode from Strange New Worlds to come up with the ship. I think there's probably a good chance that the winter ship that they come up with, unless they can do like they did with the anniversary ship and match it to the actual season content, the episode content in the game, like they did with that ship, that it will probably match something from one of the new shows, which is fine. I mean, nice to have some variety stuff. You know what I mean? That's not like, oh, well, there's a ship from one of the new shows, but it's only in a lockbox. So that's where we're at. Here's the clip. I'm going to paste this into chat too. There you go. That's, the little like next episode, you know what I mean, of the Elysian thing. So just if you're curious as to where all this stuff is coming from,